How you doing? Today is day 13. We have realized that we've gone from the crossing of the first solar eclipse to the second one, to recognizing there's a difference between them. We've seen the difference between the door and the water. We've seen that when you multiply anything times 10, you are finalizing it. That's part of what makes the Hebrew math work. Today, the number is 5784 in the Hebrew alphabet. We're looking at 5, which is Hey. We're looking at 7, which is God's perfect number. We're looking at 80, which is an interesting thing because it is the vocalization, it is the pronunciation of what is. It's speaking, that's what the word means. And we get to 4, which is the door. So we have been brought to the very door of what God wants to tell us about it, to understand where we are. Now, with that idea, we're going to take the Tav and we're going to go to understand the idea of why 40. We've said that 40 is a matter of its mem. It is the number in the Hebrew alphabet that's the 40th presentation. It's halfway through the alphabet, really. It brings us up to an ending of something and the beginning of something else. So God brings us to this point and says, all right, we're going to look at, by the 17th of this month, we're going to definitely look at the end. We're going to say between the 17th and 18th, something is going to change. So I have to look at it, I have to say, why, God, did you choose to reveal it this way? Well, I think for one thing, it makes absolutely clear that this is not a human invention. This is not a creation of us. This was God saying something in heaven from a very, very specific point of view. As we go forward and we see the ending of the United States, we see the reality that God has said in the last days that all nations will rise against his people. Well, at the same time, what we've had in the past is we've had a very significant document called the Constitution, which has laid out for the United States what it shall be. And I think that because that is what God wanted, he's allowed us to exist as long as he has. He also says there's no other nation going to come across the way we have. As a result, that nation has to come to an end. It has to come to a fortified conclusion. Either we lose power or we lose something. We lose status. We lose all the things that make us a good nation as opposed to a bad one. Now that nation will either be good or be bad, but it won't have the same power as it did. As a result, the decline of finances to this end is a clear pathway towards the destruction of what the United States has been. When God had Nineveh on the line, he made an exception for them, and he gave them a position. And he gave them a position based on children. Think about that for a second. It's based on children and their receipt and the ability they had to deal with children. And there was a national change in Nineveh's policy. Nineveh, if you go back and study it and see what they were, why Jonah didn't want to go in there and talk to them, it's because they were so horrendously evil. And God knew that. So God sent him there very specifically. When we understand that the United States has now been developing a reputation for being anti-people, the kids are not protected. They are being exposed. And especially by the people who are in power are exposing some of our children. This is a major problem. And therefore, it's going to be the thing that causes the issue between whether or not the United States continues or is finished. And it's finished at this point. We'll speak again later. Bye.